Hello and welcome to the second in the series of Caterer Middle East Bite-Sized Conference webinars. I'm delighted to have you all with us, and while we wait for everyone to make their way in, the audience and also Mr. Bhupender Nath, one of the panelists, is just running slightly late, so while we wait for him to join us as well, I'll just give you a quick rundown of what we'll be discussing for the next 30 minutes or so. Now, this is obviously one of, if not the most testing time the F&B industry has ever gone through. It's really not hyperbole to say that, unfortunately. According to our very own caterer survey, and from speaking with a number of highly regarded and well-placed people in the industry, we are looking at potentially up to 70% of restaurants being forced to close because of the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. And the ones that are open are having to work under very different conditions. Back in March, venues were forced to close, and now 4 months later, while things may be slowly returning to normal, we still have some way to go. Bars remain completely shut. Social distancing has reduced the capacity of almost every venue. There are new rules and regulations seemingly every week on what is allowed and what is not allowed in F&B outlets. In our last webinar, we discussed the full impact of the coronavirus pandemic, and the panelists made it very clear that the current operating guidelines make it extremely difficult to turn a profit. I mean, even in the best of times, the F&B industry is one of the most difficult to make money, with profit margins extremely thin. So right now, that has increased tenfold. So with that in mind, today we are going to discuss just what restaurants can do to cut costs, but without cutting corners. After all, Dubai's F&B industry has a reputation for quality, and customers have come to expect a certain standard. So how can restaurants maintain that level of excellence, but adapt to the current climate and make the most of their money? How can they make each dirham stretch further now when we need it more than ever? Among the issues we'll be discussing are the latest digital apps, whether it's QR codes or discount apps. How can these help your bottom line? Also, how much smarter do you need to be with your staff? Is cross-training more important than ever? And will showing loyalty to your current team save you money in the long run? Now, we've had some good news in the past 24 hours with the report that there will be a 50% rebate on municipality sales tax until the end of the year. But is this enough, or should the industry be calling on the government to do more? I'm delighted to be joined by some of Dubai's top restaurateurs, industry experts who operate some of the city's finest dining establishments to discuss all this and some more. As you can see, we have Nicolas Budzynski, the Global Operations Director of LPM Restaurant Bar. He's joined by Panchali Mahendra, Managing Director of Atelier House Hospitality, which has brought the likes of Marea, the 3 Michelin star New York Italian eatery, to Dubai. And we'll also be joined very shortly by Bhupender Nath, whose homegrown Indian restaurant Tresind has taken the city by storm and is now in a few different countries and has a few unique concepts, including Carnival and Tresind Studio. Now, if you have any questions you'd like to ask the panel, we welcome them. Please use the chat functionality at the side. I'll be keeping an eye on that so you can talk amongst each other, discuss what the panelists are saying, and get across any questions that you want. We'll try and get through as many of them to the panel as we can. And we'll also be getting your thoughts with some polls that will be appearing on your screen throughout the session. So please do take part in them, as the information is always very valuable to other restaurateurs to help them understand the mood of the industry. So without further ado, hopefully most of the audience have joined us now, so we're still waiting for Bhupender, but I'm sure he'll be here shortly. So let's get started. And we'll start off with one of those audience polls just to help frame the current situation. With all these new regulations in place, what has been the customer reaction to them? Are they fully understanding, or are they frustrated from having to order food with no alcohol, from having to order food to have alcohol, or to using QR code menus, to being spaced 2 meters apart? It'd be good to kind of hear from you guys, from restaurateurs, in terms of what the reaction has been like from your customers. Do they accept and understand issues that you're going through, or have they been quite difficult about it? If you can fill in your answer now so we can get a kind of idea on just how the response has been like from the public. Now, Nicolas, I'd like to start with you first and to discuss that issue. You know, I visited LPM just after it reopened, around about April time, and at that time, you know, because of the social distancing, we've had every second table been left empty. Obviously, you've not been able to have people at the bar. You know, how have customers responded to that? Are they still, you know, excited to have a night out in LPM? Are you still able to give them the true LPM experience? You know, does not having the bar being as bustling and busy as usual, how much of an effect does all this have on the customer experience, and what has the reaction been?
Well, I mean, first of all, we've been very happy to reopen and to welcome back our customers. So I think they've also been very happy to be able to come back and visit, you know, their favorite place, because that was the initial reaction when we reopened. Is those customers who came were our very, very regular customers. The initial reaction has been a bit confusing, because I think the guidelines were not necessarily explained in the best possible way. Our customers didn't want to understand it in the best possible way. So we had a lot of questions initially. Why are we doing temperature check? Why are we asking guests to put the masks? Are the masks required when walking in the restaurants? Are the masks required when sitting at the table? Are the guests needed to wear gloves or not? There was a lot of pending points, which we as operator didn't have full clarity, because we kept having updates every other day from Dubai municipality. We tried to be on top of the game, but as the measures were changing, customers' understanding was not changing. So, and also because it was not 100% clear, some operators didn't apply the same rules. So customers would visit one venue and say, okay, but I've been to that venue and we don't have to wear gloves. Or I've been to that venue and we don't have to wear the mask at the table. So I would say the first 2 weeks, there was a little bit of confusion and misunderstanding, which linked to some situation where a guest who came out to the restaurants at this point of time, the first 2 weeks, were, I would say, younger audience and a bit less cautious audience. So for them was, okay, well, I don't care about the virus. I just want to go out. I just want to dine out. I want to be with my friends. Why am I limited to 4 people at the tables? So on and so forth. But as the measures decreased, then people got a bit more understanding. You know, we were able to be a bit more flexible, and we were able to provide them a better experience. So to answer your question, the first 10 days to 2 weeks were a little bit complicated, and then it eased down, and we've been able to provide the closest possible experience without having the bar. But we realized that, you know, people can have as much fun being at the table and having food and not only come for drinks. I mean, actually, we're a restaurant before anything else. So people come back to eat and to drink, and everybody's happy at the moment.
Fantastic. Now, in terms of the actual experience, Nicolas, when people come along, have you introduced QR code menus now? Is that how you're dealing with the kind of not having...
Locally in the UAE, it's not been imposed by the government. So we didn't have to do it, and we wanted to observe initially what would be the reactions of the customers. Now, in other markets, such as London or Miami, where we're also located, it's been imposed by the government to use either a single-use menu or digital menus to avoid the contact. Now, one thing we do in all our restaurants is every time the menu is being used by a guest, and this was done prior to COVID, the menu is being sanitized automatically before being given to another customer. Now, if one of the customers doesn't want to handle the menu, we have few requests, then in that case, we offer an alternative options where we hold the menu, but we don't want to lose the interaction between our service team members and the customers. So for us, going digital on the menu would completely affect the experience. And that's something we didn't have to do, and we haven't been obliged to do, and the customers didn't request it so much. I mean, we actually had maybe, I don't know, 2-3 requests over the last month and a half for not touching the menu. So it's very, very limited.
Okay, it's quite interesting. I see, you know, certainly most restaurants that I've seen seem to be automatically going for QR code menus, but from what you say, actually maybe the demand isn't necessarily there. Panchali, for people who don't know, as I said, you're the managing director of Atelier House Hospitality, run some great concepts in Dubai, including Marea in DIFC and Mohalla in D3. Can you tell me a bit about Mohalla? I understand, sorry, at the front, we should say that Marea at the moment is closed, but is reopening soon. So to look at Mohalla, what's the customer reaction been like there? And are you using QR code menus, or are you staying with normal?
So I want to, speak in regards with Nicolas. Right now, it is a market that is visited primarily by the locals because they're in the country and they are the ones who are going out a lot more to dine. The dynamics are changing from the first week that the restaurant opened up. The demographics were lower, but now I think slowly and steadily after 1.5 months, the demographics between 35 and 55 are coming out. Generally, the locals like to come in a group to eat, especially when it's to do with Indian food. Our problem was they would ask questions like, can 4 or 8 or a group of 10 can sit together? So these were the questions that were initially coming up, and we were facing issues with the dining in. But then we had to, deal with it slowly and steadily and take protocols and answer and seat them accordingly. Now, when it comes to QR codes, yes, because Mohalla is casual dining aspect in Dubai Design District, we wanted to make sure that, every part of a contactless dining, and it's a new tech that is being driven into, should be inculcated in our services. Having said that, and previously mentioned, most of my, I think, clientele are Emirati. They believe a lot more in a visual experience than just text. This is how the country behaves. So some QR codes and companies do not provide menus with the pictures. They just text, just a menu that you can go, you can scan it and see it. So we have provided that, but having said that, just to make sure that the visual experience is there, the whole touch and feel is there, we have provided with iPads, disposable paper menu. So I don't want to be limited to one aspect. We are maintaining sanitization, we are maintaining hygiene factors. But if every client who comes in requests to be using QR codes or an iPad to just see pictures or a full menu, we have all of those, but we also have, PDF files of our menus. So we're able to send people on WhatsApp too. So they have it in their phone even before they land up. They call us up, we are connected on WhatsApp, and we send them the entire PDF file. So right now it's important to have that information, your menu on your Instagram, on your delivery stations, on WhatsApp, everywhere, whatever works right now in terms of contactless dining.
I find that quite interesting that you say people still want the feel and the touch, because when we did our first survey, it said about 80% of people or restaurateurs said they were switching to QR codes and they expected that to carry on. But perhaps this is a sign that we'll see a return to normality sooner than possible, because people still want the same old traditional experience that they've had in the past. I mean, Panchali, for you, I know you said most of your customers are Emirati.
Yes.
Does that affect in terms of the average spend and the average check in your location? Has that been affected a lot by this current crisis, would you say, or have you managed to maintain it?
No, I've been able to, I think, manage the average per cost right now, average per cover, as we say it. We haven't seen a significant drop. Yes, the murmur always was when you're opening, and as Nicolas is saying, some restaurants have opened with the same price point. But when it comes to a casual dining, where my price point is around 90 to 100 dirham per person, we still have maintained our quality. We're still buying the same produce, whatever is available. We have not had major cutbacks in our staff, because each staff member of mine, especially in the kitchen, is a very specified cook, because it's Indian food is a specialty food. So I really could not afford to lose any one of them. So having maintained these quality aspects, I did not really put down on my cost and my food sales price. It was a risk factor, but I wanted to see how it goes. And like I said, the locals did not complain much about paying the same price point in this time.
That's what you want to hear, I guess.
Yes.
But have you introduced any new types of concept or new kind of lunch deals or anything else to try and attract consumers whose wallet might not be quite where they would like it to be, or that have had an enforced pay cut?
I mean, we do have lunch deals because we are located in the Bay Design District, and primarily you have around 9 to 10,000 office-going people here, and you have all genres of spending power. So, having kept in mind the, probably as we say, the lower income bracket, we wanted them not to feel left out, or not to be able to left out. So we do have deals for them so that they're able to come in and pick up something and go. Because we do know that there has been salary reductions in many companies. For them, I want to be accessible for even like a quick grab and go aspect.
Absolutely. So can we just a quick welcome to Bhupender Nath from Passion F&B. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, a bit late. There was a small traffic, but anyway, there's an excuse. I'm late, so I'm sorry.
No problem. I'm sure you're always worth waiting for, Bhupender. Always worth waiting for. We've just been discussing with the guys, with Nicolas and Panchali here about how people have reacted to the new conditions and the new way of operating that restaurants have been forced under. And we did a quick audience poll there, and it says the majority, only one person said people had responded negatively. Most people have been quite accepting of the new conditions, social distancing, QR code menus, any new kind of changes like that. I wanted to ask from your point of view. Obviously, I know you operate Tresind. You have Carnival by Tresind, which is a very lively, very atmospheric restaurant. The very first brunch I ever came to in Dubai, and it was, that very showmanship experience, something really enjoyable. Has that been affected by the current situation in terms of social distancing, bar not being open, etc.?
First of all, good morning, everybody. And coming to social distancing business, I think we need to follow the law. I think it is good for everybody. In the month of May, we did a lot of catering, I guess, because people were still not coming in. And, we are basically actually, all our menus are not designed to do the catering, but we just tuned ourselves to see, because a lot of people wanted to enjoy it and they were sick and tired of sitting at home and eating the same food. And also catering was life-saving for us, as she already said, that we have kept all our staffs, the kitchen staffs are still there. We are maintaining a social distancing, but it is not easy because then you can't run your restaurant in 100% capacity. We will let go some of the front of the house staff. They wanted to go because they had been waiting. We did not do any operations for Tresind and Acapella, which is at the point till June. Only Carnival was up and running in May and also part of June on the delivery. But now I see people coming out a lot. I think Dubai has, we thank the ruler, the way they have controlled. I don't think there is much cases to be found. Even I was in some of the restaurants over the weekend, and I found people, wearing the mask, and they don't mind sitting 2-meter distancing. And then the servers are very good. I felt happy they covered their masks so that we could eat freely over there. So, I guess both ways the business has been a bit slow. But I think we need to tune with the situation how it is. I'm sure there is a brighter morning.
Well, we've just asked our second audience poll of the restaurateurs to get an idea for how they switched to find new revenue streams due to the current situation. As you said there, Bhupender, with restaurants not being able to operate at 100%, it's all about finding different ways to pivot and to bring in that revenue. As you said, you've turned to catering. I know you were doing delivery iftars from Carnival,
Yes.
etc. You had a few different ways. And Nicolas, obviously LPM was quite big news when you went to delivery for the first time. In terms of adding to your bottom line, how helpful was that, especially during lockdown, and how helpful is it now that the restaurant is back open again?
I just want to say one thing. I ordered from LPM and the food was delicious. The lamb cutlet, awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I love the carry bags with the art.
Oh.
Well, we're going to come to them shortly.
We should start a competition on spotting the top bag around Dubai. That's an interesting one. Well, I mean, for us, how much did it add to the bottom line? I don't think that's the way to look at it. I think the way we approached the deliveries was how much can it help us to reduce the loss. So we haven't done the delivery for making profit. I mean, there are the two reasons we've decided to go ahead with that. The number one reason is to keep all our employees on board during the pandemic time. So until today, no employees has been let go because of the drop of revenue. Then the second reason was to stay and be relevant and take the opportunity of none of our competitors to be active, to be able to be getting visibility. So it did better than we had expected, to be honest. We've driven quite an impressive revenue. We've reached $500 million in the period since the beginning of lockdown until today. And this helped to be able to maintain everybody. It helped also the owners to sleep a little bit better at night. So yeah, I mean, it's been a great exercise. And the great thing is, as it's just been mentioned now, is people have noticed that we've done delivery. People appreciated the efforts. And one of the first restaurants that the people wanted to go to when the lockdown was done was LPM, because we made an extra effort during the lockdown.
Oh, Panchali, I know Mohalla come to delivery as well. I ordered one of your amazing meals that comes with, its own reusable crockery. It looks fantastic, but for you, I mean, that's an added expense for you. I mean, you could have done it cheaper. Why did you choose not to do that? Why did you go for the more kind of glamorous and really excellent looking option rather than the cheaper one that would have made you more money?
Okay, so here's the thing. Obviously, when the dine-in was shut down, all the restaurants wanted to do delivery. So the competition was very tight. So initially, there were probably 3,000 or 4,000 restaurants doing delivery, and at 2 months back, there were 8,000 restaurants doing delivery. So internally, we thought about what could be different, where people do want to order from us apart from our food. And going on the path of sustainability, we said, why don't we do it in crockery? We are not using plastic. We are not using paper. People can reuse those crockeries, and they can reheat the food again instead of transferring it somewhere else. Cost-wise, you'll be amazed. It was actually cheaper than using 3-4 different boxes together to put 2 big portions of, say, biryani. So we found a supplier here, and I was amazed to see the cost price that we could buy our crockery for. So instead of sending 3 portions of a dish in 4 different boxes, that the prices came to almost, say, 10 dirham, I found something for 8 dirham that was a big crockery, and I put it in there and I sent it out. So it looks good. The presentation is great. The food stays warm in it, and you can use it. So that was the tactic. It worked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Listen, it's a very, very impressive, and I'm guessing it also probably helps. As soon as I got it, I was taking pictures to put it on Instagram. It's advertising it and pushing it out there more for you, I guess.
That's exactly how it works. So it was not just people were taking the food, but they were so impressed that they started buying many family boxes, and they were just laying it out on their table and saying, here, our dinner table is ready. We don't need to use our own crockery or then dishwash or anything else. Just use it and keep it.
Bhupender, we talked about Carnival and that, the kind of atmosphere and the type of restaurant that is. Obviously, you also have Tresind Studio, which has just opened up just a few days ago at the end of last week for its next iteration. Now, obviously, Tresind Studio is the real fine dining tasting menu part of your operation. With things as the way they are now, how have you looked to implement value in there on your end? In terms of customers perhaps not having the same spending power, or with you guys trying to cut costs at all, is there ways that you've managed to keep Tresind Studio at that same high-end fine dining quality, but while reducing your costs?
It surprises me. People still have a spending power. When I go in the weekend, and not only one weekend I'm talking about, but all 2-3 weekends when we open up, restaurants are packed. And to my biggest surprise, we opened up studio last week, I guess. And every day we are full. So the restaurant is a little bit less occupied, which is much easier on your pocket. But studio with the new menu, which is 20 cover, day before yesterday we did 23 cover, means we did almost after a sitting completely. And I'm surprised people want to spend. So I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I cannot understand the market. People are saying that it is a problem. But okay, of course, we are hit on Sundays, Monday, probably Tuesday, badly hit over there. But then, we have also cut down on the salaries a little bit. And not it was my idea. And I'm super happy to lead a fantastic team. They came up with it. They were sitting idle in the half March, full April. Carnival and Acapella was sitting quietly full May also, up till half of the May. So they came, they suggested this is what they wanted. So I guess my team really, I mean, I don't know how to say, but they're a really nice team. And I'm super proud to lead them because they suggest us how to run. And with the cut down budget, with the cut down sales, if it goes like this, I think I'll come up into a profit within a month or two because the salaries are low. I have negotiated with the landlord because, rent is like a dead body. And when we are not selling 1.5, 1.6 or 1.8 million, whatever each restaurant has, they're targeted in so-called pre-pandemic days, then you cannot pay those fancy rent. It becomes really difficult. So I sat down with all my landlords and I told them that let's get back on a revenue sharing. I'm not saying do it for all life. I mean, even if they do it, if the revenue increases, it will go up. But again, for me, it was to run the business. I mean, when you open up a restaurant, you have already put your money in, right? Whether it is interior or furnitures or kitchen. Now, that money is not in my bank account. But the new money which I have to run is definitely with me, or I'm working hard to generate those money. So I told the landlord very clearly that, look, I ain't going to put all those fresh money into it. If you want me to run, this is how we do it. And a couple of conditions I put them, which was favorable to both of us because they don't expect their property to be empty because I'm pretty sure that there is no new operator for next year or year and a half trying to take up. And, the restaurant business is as such that once you close down the restaurant, the interior, you have to drop it down because nobody's going to work with the same interior, no matter whatever you have put in. So, yeah, the studio, coming back to your point, the studio is doing good. There is enough purchasing power in the market. I guess people are coming out to eat. I do not see that, people say, I don't want to go. But I'm sure that the certain segment or the certain sector of people have been hit. They have lost their job. So difficult for me to analyze. But coming back to this Tresind Studio, I'm super happy and I'm doing very well over there. And last 7 days, probably just opened 7 days ago. Because the APCs are pretty higher in studio, the food is very different. The food cost is higher than all the other two restaurants. So I think I believe there is a great future in Dubai for the restaurants. We need to little bit sit back, relax, because every sector, whether airline, tourism, rents, everything has been hit. So why F&B should be segregated? I'm sure we are also hit, and even every business is hit. I mean, I have a business in Africa, and that to frozen fish business, that is also hit. We used to sell a certain ton per day, but we are selling less now because people don't have money. So rather than, I believe, complaining about it, crying about it, wake up, sit with your team, adjust every single thing and move forward. I think that is the way going for the next from now till December.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you touched on it there, obviously rent, in terms of, this is about money saving, our discussion here, and rent is obviously the big issue there when it comes to money saving. I'm sure lots of people have been negotiating with their landlords in terms of ways that they can reduce their rent, either get a waiver for a few months or deferments or postponements until the end of this year. And I do believe that certainly landlords are beginning to respond a bit more positively than they had done when the situation originally started. But I think that could be a whole different topic. But if you do have anything that you can provide, if any of the audience want to give any hints or tips to any other restaurateurs and how they can speak to their landlords to get a rent reduction or anything like that, please do leave it in the comments. That's definitely one of the main ways that we can save money. Now, one of the other biggest parts of your budget is staff salaries. I wanted to come to Nicolas there in terms of, I know me and you spoke a while ago in what was mentioned earlier was the amazing LPM bags that have proven a big hit, and that was actually designed by some of your team who did the art for that. How have you been using your team in different ways, and have you been cross-training them to try and help you through this time?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, our first priority during the lockdown and the delivery project was towards the intention of keeping everybody on board. I mean, one of the values of LPM is the family spirit. So in difficult times, that's when the family should be the strongest. So we kind of made a team decisions in regards to how to go about the team. So we basically said, well, we have two choices. It's either we all make a sacrifice together as a team, or we start to look as individuals and gonna have to let people go, to have the others to sustain. We decided to go on a group sacrifice, and basically from the top level to the down level, everybody has been adjusted on monthly basis in the same way. Okay, and this is me included. So let's say the team is getting 50%, everybody is getting 50%. The team is getting 60%, everybody is getting 60%. And that's how we're gonna go about it over the next few weeks, few months. This has been handled according to the revenue that we're making. So basically what we're doing is every month we have a general meeting with the team and say, hey guys, this is what has happened over the last 1 month. This is where we've made improvements. This is where we still need to be careful. And this is how we're gonna tackle the payroll for that particular month. So we've had a very, very open discussion with the team. So they will understand the company situation. And we avoid having this gap in communication between senior and junior level, where obviously it's not the company's problem, it's all our problem. That's the message we wanted to send across our team members. Now, in order to how we've been using the team, first of all, we've, as much as possible, whatever the percentage of salary was paid, the scheduling has been as close as possible to that percentage. So it means somebody is being paid 50%, we tried as much as possible to schedule them 50%. So at least this would be a fair approach. Now, from a management side, it's a little bit different because we have more responsibility. And we've also made the team part of other areas of responsibilities that the team used to. So as you said at the beginning of the lockdown, a big part of was painting in the restaurant, painting the bags. So each bag was painted individually by a team member of LPM. And yes, I mean that's been about it. In terms of training, no, because we want to use efficiently our people, meaning that not make them come to work and not adding value to the company and for them not being paid. So we didn't want to go in that direction. We prefer to give unpaid leave or holidays to our team members rather than coming in cross-training. If somebody expressed the wish to do cross-training, we would have entertained it. But at this point of time, people prefer to, focus on other things than cross-training themselves. Yeah.
I think, Panchali, you mentioned earlier that you have a lot of speciality Indian chefs who obviously are experts in one specific thing. I wonder if for you is it better to, well, although you may have had to consider redundancies, unpaid leave, etc. Does it make more sense for you to keep these people here for as long as you can because it'll be more expensive to replace them in the long run? Is that why you try to keep as many of your staff as possible?
I mean, I'll also talk on behalf of Marea. To be honest, there are two aspects to it, especially I'll start with Marea. Beginning of the year, we had seen a little bit of sales drop because of almost 700-800 seats that were added in the IFC with Amazonico and Shanghai Me and Indochine coming in. I did see Marea's sales drop a bit. Then COVID happened, and that kind of obviously had a huge crisis with the revenues and the sales. So we did have to take a decision based on the sales dropping from the beginning of the year, then COVID, and my parent company, Marea, being from New York, and everybody knows what a huge pandemic there has been. It hugely impacted Marea and Mohalla and my other restaurants here too, because that's the parent company. So we actually had no choice but to reduce the workforce. We gave the opportunity to each employee to voluntarily, perhaps, go on a salary reduction or an unpaid leave or to go on a holiday. But the ones who would not accept it, we had no other choice. So at some level, and we did not know when Marea or Mohalla was going to open. So we had to keep the most specialized kitchen staff and some of the high-end managerial staff for front of the house. So for Marea, we had to have a substantial workforce redundancy. For Mohalla, because the team is smaller and we opened faster than anybody else, and with its own space, it picked up, we did not let go of anyone. So we've kept the staff. They are working on, right now, I think, a 50% salary reduction. That was their choice. They all agreed to it. But with every month, we spoke to them that as the restaurant performs and the dining in is going to increase, we'll also increase your remuneration. So we're right now at 60%. Perhaps next month we'll go to 70%. So that's the incentive that we are working right now. Again, keeping in mind the costs and the quality, we have to go slowly. I cannot have it at 100% right now.
I wonder, with Marea reopening at the end of this month, in terms of staff, have you kept enough for a skeleton staff to reopen, or are you looking to bring back staff, or what will happen there?
So we have, I think, just exactly what we need to reopen on a full capacity. If we are saying we're not at 60% or 70, we have 220 seating capacity at Marea, both up and down. I think downstairs will go easy right now. We'll just open the upstairs for dining aspect because the lower space is more like a bar-driven concept. So we have enough to run, and as and when it's required, there's a lot of skills still available in the market, and our old employees, if they're willing to come back, and when New York market opens up, we have to bring the other employees back from there too. So we are just waiting and watching as markets open up.
And I'd like to come on to another poll for the audience, just to ask, for all the restaurateurs watching, and how have suppliers helped you with your current situation? Have they been understanding? Yes or no? We asked this in a webinar just over a month ago, and we're going to see how it might change. I wanted to know, Nicolas, in terms of you working with suppliers, have you renegotiated deals? Are you in? I know we've spoken to many suppliers who've been obviously struggling very badly the past few months. Does that put you in a strengthened position to negotiate with them? Are there any deals that you've been able to receive from them?
Yes, I mean, one of the first actions that we've taken is informing the suppliers that payments will need to be slowed down, and a payment plan would need to be discussed. Then we've been very honest, and we told them when we started the delivery, we said, hey, listen, our delivery is our only way of surviving at the moment. So help us out. Help us out, because if we don't do the delivery, then you won't be able to supply to us. And if you don't make an effort now, when it's the worst situation of all time on the Dubai market, then it means, where is the partnership relationship? Where is the support? So they've all understood that, and they made the necessary support. They also had excess in stock that they needed to release. So in a way, the fact that we've been able to have a high volume of deliveries has helped us to also a good pricing on the long shelf life item that the suppliers need to release. They've also supported in the vegetable and fresh items which are coming by air cargo. The cost of air cargo has increased quite a lot during the pandemic time, but suppliers haven't translated to us, so they've taken the hit. On our side as well, we've also used a good tactic is to sit down with suppliers and rediscuss our pending invoices. and we give them a choice. We've been lucky enough to have enough cash flow to have this discussion with the suppliers, but we give them a choice on either we pay you later at the cost of invoice, or we pay you today with a 10-15% discount. And we've been able to obtain some good pricing on that. Now, I understand not everyone is in a position to do that because you need to have the cash available to do so. But there are other techniques as well that people can use. Is cash on delivery. What the supplier wants is cash. So as long as you're trading and you have cash, then people can negotiate with the suppliers, and the delivery they pay, and they get a discount on that. Or they renegotiate the payment term with the supplier to be able to get better support from their end. But yes, it's been working quite well on our side.
That seems quite positive. The suppliers seem open to discussion and willing to listen. Bhupender, have you found that with Tresind? Are your suppliers listening to you? Are you getting options and offers the way that Nicolas has?
Actually, we did exactly what Nicolas was saying, and all the suppliers have been a great supporter, because also they need to be in a market. I don't think the suppliers wants us to see that they throw out of the market. They also know that we have paid their staff salaries when everything was shut down. And likewise, they have also paid their staff salaries. They have all their stocks over there. So I think suppliers and the restaurateurs are like husband and wife. If we are not operating, they can't throw away all those things. They know it themselves. But nobody took an advantage. The best part is everybody is a learner over here and a businessman, all of us, suppliers and restaurateur, and they all each agree to it. And exactly what Nicolas said, this is what we told them, and they have decided to support. So we have absolutely no problem with the supplies or the suppliers.
Good. We're running out of time. We just have a few minutes left, so I'd like to put up the final audience poll, and just to ask, with the restaurateurs watching and watching this discussion, will they be using influencers in their marketing as they reopen? Influencers have been in the news. There was a big debate about them in the National recently, and a lot of discussion about how valuable they are. So not just to ask about, not just to talk about influencers, but I'd like to ask Panchali, in terms of your marketing so far since returning, and the marketing that you're going to be doing with Marea once it's back up and running. Where do you find, what do you find to be the most cost effective, and will influencers play a part in that?
I mean, I think right now with, talking and working with influencers, they're also they're cooperating a lot. They also want the major restaurants to boom when they're coming back. They want to participate, they want to collaborate, and they genuinely want to now make sure that their loved concepts, could be anyone, to come on their own. They're coming on their own from their front. We don't have to go after them. And they do want to support. I'm definitely seeing a lot more support coming from all the bloggers and the influencers. I mean, at the end of the day, this market is a very, very influencer, and the marketing plays a vital role in UAE. You do need help. It's primarily because the competition is very high. You have almost 11,000 restaurants, and you're competing against each other in a small pie. So yes, marketing is the key. However, I think many PR and our own marketing and PR companies have been very helpful. They also took a hit on their fees, and they want to help us sustain, because if my project and my brand is not going to work, then what am I going to do with my PR company or the marketing aspect to it? So everybody's helping. Yes, they're all coming in. And I think one of the biggest cost reduction for me was when my own marketing and PR company said, you know what, we'll work together. When you make money, we'll make money. So don't worry about the fees and the cost structure right now. That's great.
And Nicolas, at LPM, I know I guess you've been, hitting up, marketing campaigns for old customers and really reaching out to all your contacts to let them know, LPM's up and running and it's getting the news back out there. What areas of marketing have been the most effective for you guys since reopening?
I think everybody now should be really concentrating on the guests and what the guest wants. And what the guest wants is consistency, attention to them, attention to quality, and innovation. People want new things at the moment. And you've seen there's been a couple of new restaurants that have opened either just before pandemic or just after pandemic that got a lot of attraction. Why? Because it's new. So, and that's what the Dubai market is about, is always moving forward and, looking what is the next new things to do. So I think if you're able to maintain the consistency and the quality of your product while, providing something new and different, you'll get the attention of the market at this point of time. Now, what have we been using on our side? I mean, I think the biggest marketing campaign that we've done has been our delivery, which is born from necessity. So we've been able to get a little bit to be a focus point during the lockdown, and to start a new trend of high-end restaurants doing deliveries, which was not happening before, especially with aggregators. Then following to that, it's just been in contact with the database that we have, whether it's through social media or whether it's newsletter or whether it's just simple phone calls to our regulars, just to tell them, hey, we reopen, we'd be so happy to see you again. Not to sell them a product, but just to tell them, hey, we're happy to have you back. And then putting the maximum attention when customers were back. The first 6 weeks after a lockdown needs to be perfect. You cannot tell them, hey, listen, your time for the table, 2 hours is finished, you need to go. Even though the demand is there, you have to be careful. Customer will expect you to go the extra mile, and they will appreciate it. There'll be probably the expectations will be very high in terms of people's value. How much attention are you giving to a person? And they'll be a bit more forgiving on standards and where the fork and the knife is. So at the moment, it's really how much attention are you giving to your customers? How much are you listening to them? And based on that, we've been listening to our customers. And in the past, our lunch has been a big dilemma because we are great locations for long lunch, and some of our customers avoided LPM for quick lunch. Because they knew that you stay, you have nice music, you have nice lighting, and nice people around, and you want to stay for 2-3 hours. But some of our customers avoided to come because it was taking too long. So we just recently launched a business lunch, which is quick, so people come and go within 1 hour at 130 dirhams, which is also more accessible than what we were offering before, because we are conscious that at this very point of time, people are worried. They don't know what the future is going to be, and they have less money to spend on less important things than families and future.
Yeah. Now, just finally, then, Bhupender, to get your take as well on in terms of marketing tools with studio reopening last week. What did you use to get the word out there, and what worked the best for you?
We have our own in-house marketing team and a PR team. We have taken it because we tried our best to do with the outsourced one, but I think it's more effective. And as Nicolas said it, when you do something new, people get attracted. Of course, the new restaurants which opened just before pandemic, and they have now great attention. So that is how we started up a new menu in Tresind, a studio called Food Truck, and that has been accepted by people a lot. And our USB has been that in every 3 months we do keep changing our menu. So we use a lot of social media, we use influencer, we use bloggers. All these people, they are great help to us. So yeah, we do use them, and I guess keep changing and keep innovating. And Dubai is always they need something very different. You can't be having the same thing for the next 2 years, then they forget about you. So for them to know you keep introducing new things, and we have been doing it. In a year, we change at least minimum 3 times our menu in each of our restaurants, including India also and Kuwait. So we keep on doing it better and better. And that's all I want to say.
Perfect, Bhupender, thank you so much. We're out of time now. I hope people found that useful. Some really fantastic expert advice from Nicolas, Panchali, and Bhupender there. As Nicolas talked about, if you're talking with suppliers, there's a chance to negotiate, there's a chance to get deals. And Panchali is talking about, the PR firms who you can use to really promote your marketing. They're also cutting back prices at the moment, so there's some good value you can pick up there. And as Bhupender mentioned earlier, one of the big issues is rent. If you can talk to your landlord and negotiate your rent down, or to waivers or deferments, it's a chance to save a lot of money at a time when we all need it. And they are certainly listening a lot more than they have been. There's also opportunities to create new value propositions like business lunches that LPM are doing now, which Nicolas says have been a hit, attracting customers in that they maybe previously wouldn't have got. Panchali and Mohalla doing a new delivery concept as well, which has been fantastic. And Tresind turning to catering to keep the wheels ticking over as they had done. So, there are lots of ways out there for people to innovate and to keep money coming into your company, even while we can't quite operate the way that we would like to. Hopefully that will be changing in the next few months. We'll get some more positive news in terms of reduction in social distancing, etc. And Dubai's restaurant scene will be back to the vibrant atmosphere that it has been known for. And so hopefully that is coming soon. Listen, thank you very much to everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Nicolas. Thank you, Panchali. Thank you very much, Bhupender. And we'll see you all next time for the next Caterer Conference Bite Size.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks,
Simon. Yeah.
And I want to invite Panchali, Nicolas, and Simon, all of you, to Tresind Studio food truck. Amazing menu, guys. Not that it is my restaurant, but try it. You will love it.
Coming tonight, Bhupender.
Count me in.
We'll be there tonight.
Done.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you all later.
Thank you
See
all.
you guys. Bye.